All right, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. So real quick before the stream starts, just to kind of get you guys on the same page as to what I'm looking at. So here's the deal, guys. I'm bullish on NAS as usual. I think that as long as we're making higher lows, and higher lows, we're going to continue to move higher. The only thing that's kind of giving me pause right now is that we have this previous sell level on the left. Okay, and we're sort of creating resistance around this level. So my base case is that we get some kind of retest, right? So about 61% of this previous move. And then we can get some sort of retest, previous highs, and then we can get a continuation up to these extension levels. That's my base case. The other case is that it just breaks through, is it just starts pushing up because we've already started to form a floor at this level. If you guys can see that. So we're forming a support level here. I think we can continue to move higher. So the option one is boom, up, in which case we will enter right here. Second option is push up, retest, and then maybe we can enter down here if we get a chance. So NAS looking to go long. Gold, this was crazy. This was a hell of a move. We were trading inside of this consolidation for the past couple of weeks, basically just buying at 1790, selling at 1810. Yesterday, I put a small short position at 1812. I managed to catch probably not more than like 15 pips. It came back and hit my break even at the end of the day. And yeah, that was that. Eventually just ended up breaking out. And so now we're in a new phase on gold, which is this continuation phase. So we had a push up. We had a retest. Price created a floor here. And now we're having this sort of continuation. Now, obviously, whenever price gets back to previous sell levels, we have to keep an eye out, for some sort of sharp retracement. So I'm not saying that the market's going to continue like a straight line from here, like it's been doing. But what we can expect is that because the trend on this time frame is bullish, because we've already had our retest and created a higher low. So here's the low, higher low. If we create a higher high, then price is officially back on a bull trend and we can trade with that trend. So the first thing that I always do when I'm looking at markets is I try to figure out the directional bias of the market. And so you guys know there's only two ways markets are going. They're either going bullish, bearish, or they're consolidating. So for the past couple of weeks, we've been trading this consolidated market, which to me is the easiest way to trade because whenever price gets to a hot zone like 1790, we can buy it every single time. And you can just make money over and over and over. And it's the least like the least confusing way to trade and the least mentally strenuous because it's so self-explanatory. Every time it gets to the blue zone, buy it. Now that the price is in a breakout, we have a different strategy. So in a consolidation, I trade a range strategy, which is basically just buy low, sell high. When the market's in a trend, I'm looking to trade a momentum strategy. And so an example of a momentum strategy is every time the market makes a dip, you buy the dip. Every time the market makes a dip, you buy the dip and you trade with the trend. So we're using that second option right now for gold. So the next step is for us to wait for a retracement and then to go long in the direction of the market. Okay. Now, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I know I kind of jumped right into that. If you guys are just hopping on the stream, if you guys are just hopping on the Zoom call, welcome everybody to another ChartAddicts live stream. Last week we had James making 200K on the live stream. I don't know if I have anything that exciting for you guys today, but we're all going to make some money. So if that's not, if that doesn't get you excited, then I don't know what will. Everybody focus, go get something to drink, go get something and get yourself ready. In about 5 minutes, we are going to start this live stream. I'm going to show you guys what I'm looking at for the day, the levels that we're looking at for the day. You guys are going to write those levels down if you trade that specific pair, and we're going to make some magic happen. Okay. So I'm going to give everybody about 5 minutes, go get ready, bathroom break, go get a drink, whatever you guys got to do. And we're going to kick off this live stream here shortly. In the meantime, if you guys are on, I want to show you what I was looking at for Euro USD. I've been looking at this since last week. Obviously, I lost some interest because we were in this consolidation. Price came up to retest this previous neutrality zone and it started to make some bearish moves. So in my mind, I was going to wait for it to get down to the next level of liquidity and then look for a move there, like maybe a buy position or something. Price ended up forming a floor and then it pushed up earlier this week. And then that's when I started to look for buy positions. The first buy position I took went into deep profits. I was very happy about that. I moved it to break even, took partial profits. Price came down and smacked me yesterday. The trade that I'm currently in on this was so late. I got in, and this is something that I kind of preach against, but I think it was a combination of I got in the trade late and the spread was so high that I got entered high. I'm in at 1.8 flat or 1.18 flat, which is above all these candles, above the wick. It's a pretty late entry. Now, fortunately for me, the price was bullish and we ended up pushing up. So the reason for this trade, guys, is I was trading against the dollar. I am kind of a fundamental trader at times because I'm always looking at the bigger picture. As soon as the dollar finished up this like bullish enthusiasm, started breaking that trend line and coming back down, I had to understand the currency correlation. And so if the dollar is dropping, then GBP USD, Euro USD, gold, and some other assets are going to go up. So NZD USD is an example. Some folks right now are shorting UCAD, they're shorting USD Chef. And so that's how you guys want to look at this. If the USD goes up, you want to look for the counter correlation trade with GU, EU, and some of the counter correlated currencies. Now, can I see something in the chat if this idea of currency correlation makes sense to you guys? It's a pretty simple concept for most, but some people skipped over this in the beginning and they never really figured out the currency correlations. Like, how does the JPY play with gold? Or how do US indices affect the dollar? Or how, all of these correlations. So if this counter currency correlation between the dollar and then GU and EU makes sense, let me see something in the chat. Okay, beautiful. So dollar is on a bearish move, but I don't really see the dollar crash like a straight line. So here's what I want you guys to pay attention to. Huge neckline right here. And so I think that the first area that we're going to be reaching is down there. We might make some sort of retest back up, push back down, whatever the path looks like for the dollar. I think that we eventually end up back at this neckline. Now, if we break that neckline, we have a pretty good amount of space right here where there's no traffic, or we could potentially fill and just continue the bearish trend. The reason the dollar's not doing well is you guys know that and I kind of want to take this outside of Forex because, this is a time where what's happening in the real world is affecting more than just markets. And if you can understand the geopolitical game and the macroeconomic game, you can play this in your daily life as well as make a shit ton of money in the markets. So if you knew that the dollar is most likely going to continue to crash for the rest of the year, you're not going to sit there and keep counter trend trading GU and EU and gold and whatever direction it makes. You're just trading that direction. You're chasing. Instead, you'll build a bias. You'll build a bias, which is that GU and EU are going to be bullish for the rest of the year. And then at every dip, you can basically just trade with the trend. And so if you guys want to see why I've been having so much success with NAS this year, is because I've built that bias. I know that as long as the government is printing money and as long as the Federal Reserve is conducting these open market operations, then the dollar is going to continue to drop, or that NAS is going to continue to buy up. And because of that, every dip that we see, I just try to buy NAS. Now, can we be wrong some weeks? Yeah, of course. This week, we got our ass handed to us earlier this week on Tuesday. But at the end of the day, the overall trend hasn't changed. NASDAQ is still bullish. And so now that they got it out of their system, this huge sell-off, at some point, it's going to continue that trend. So that's how I look at the markets. I'm looking at these bigger picture moves and then playing my day-to-day trades off of that bigger picture. So I hope that makes sense. For dollar today, I'm looking for a short pullback back inside this range and then a move back down, which means for EU and everything else, I'm expecting a short pullback to the downside, and then a continuation of the bullish trend. So let's go look at that real quick and let me show you some of those trades. I kind of want to buy NAS right now. Pre-market open. I don't like this double top formation right here, but I want you guys to pay attention to candlesticks. And I want you guys to pay attention to higher highs and higher lows. So if this is our swing low, this is a higher low. And then this again is a higher low than that. Now, if we take that into account, so everything's making higher lows. We haven't made a higher high yet, right? This current high is higher than this one. And so we know that we're on a bullish trend overall, but this current move hasn't broken the high. So we're still sort of in this like retracement phase. If you look at this wick signifies a continuation of the trend. Now, granted, the 4-hour candle still has an hour to close. So this candle could close like a wick or whatever. So then I'll go down to the smaller time frame and I'll look to see if this is worth entering. So here's what I'm looking for. We have a previous area of resistance right here and a previous area of resistance right here. Until we break that resistance, we're still in a, like we still haven't continued the bearish trend. So what I'm looking for is a 2-step process. Actually a 3-step process. I need a break above this resistance just to show us that buyers are willing to push the market past where sellers have control. Sellers have control over this zone. And so if those of you guys are struggling to figure out how to think about zones, an easy way to think about it is it's a constant battle between buyers and sellers. And so the question you have to ask yourself at all times is one question that you guys can ask yourself on any given day in the markets to give yourself an advantage. Are you guys ready for this? Some secret sauce here. Who has control over the market today? And if it's not today, then whatever time frame you're trading. Who has control over the market on the 1 hour? Who has control over the market on this weekly time frame? Who is in control of the market? And I don't mean who, like which institution or background dark pools of liquidity are running the markets. I mean, are buyers or sellers in control? So once you can figure that out, for this previous week, it looked like sellers were in control because they're the ones who pushed through all of the key levels. Okay, so they obviously had way more volume on their side than everybody else. And then price hasn't been able to break above this previous resistance. So sellers are still holding this area. Now, as soon as we break above this zone, as soon as we break above this resistance, the buyers will take back control because sellers cannot keep them under the zone anymore using, high selling volume, because that's how sellers and buyers control the market. They just put more money on their side. A bunch of people were trying to buy right here to go long, including myself. Sellers put way more money into their trades. There was way more sellers, or the sellers that were in the market had a shit ton more money and they controlled the market. Same here. There's folks trying to buy the market high, but sellers keep knocking the price down. Sellers keep knocking the price down. And so obviously sellers have a certain amount of influence in this zone. How do they lose their influence? Is when the bulls don't care and they just break through. So here's my trade. Might as well take this off. Might as well extend this. Okay, now I hope everybody notices why I'm drawing my zones this way. Buying area, buying area, buying, 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 and then I skipped over the sells, but it became a sell zone in the past. These buy levels that turn into sell levels are pretty significant in the market because if you want to catch a nice bullish move like this, it's most likely going to be off of this zone. Okay. So at this point, I'm looking at something like this. And obviously, guys, I also use my Fibonacci's for confirmation. So first things first, I want to find my extension level. Get rid of this thing. So I'm adjusting my zone a little bit just so that it matches up with the 61.8. Just kind of get some accuracy. We can see that we have been respecting these Fibonacci levels. So price dropped, came back up, retested the 78, and then had a bit of a sell-off down to the 50%. So 78 to 50 trade, pretty good money on that side. But then we formed a double bottom at that support level at the 50%. And now I think we're about to push up. So if we don't just go straight up, I think that we have push to the extension, or sorry, to the retracement, retest of the 61. Or if we're lucky, we get a retest of down here at like that previous buy level. And then we can enter right there and make a shit ton of money. And I'm hoping that this whipsaw situation happens at the market open, because you guys know at the market open, we always start the session with a consolidation, and then we do some kind of whipsawing, and then we have a trend for the day. And then 2 p.m. we have a retest, and then 3 p.m. we continue the trend of the day. That's how I look at NAS. Every day, same deal. It's their business model. They have a consolidation before the session starts. There is some sort of whipsaw action pre-New York session, or around 9:30 to 10 a.m., which is coming up in the next hour or so. And then we have a trend for the day. 2 p.m. we have a massive retest that gets everybody confused. 3:30, 3:45, we continue the trend of the previous day, or not of the previous day, of that same day. All right, so while we wait for NAS to cook up, are there any positions that you guys want me to look at real quick, provide some value, give you guys some feedback on some of the charts, just so I can focus on NAS later, because that's really where my main focus is. If you guys want me to look at any other pair, now would be the time. So go ahead and let me know. Everybody's saying US 30. Okay. What's going on with US 30? Why is everybody sort of interested in this move? Ah, that's why. You guys were trying to short US 30. So first thing I'm going to do, because I don't look at this pair often, I'm going to go to the higher time frame and just get a larger time frame perspective. So I'm on the daily, real simple, find floor, find ceiling. Let's see where our highs and our lows are. Okay, so we have structural low, and then we have another buy level in the middle. So we would call this our discount, our extreme. That's our premium. This is our average trading range. So if I had to go ahead and draw a zone right there, what we can see is that price is already broken out of our average trading range, but it's still below the premium. Okay. And so as long as I'm going to give you the short answer and then do the education after. Short answer is, as long as it's below the premium, then it's still a short, because it could just wake up and then come back under, retest under, and then drop. But price is creating that support right there. And so if you push up above these highs, then I could look for some sort of retest of that level later in the week. Not later in the week, it's already Thursday. So maybe later in the session. This is the daily, so I'm not really sure how that's going to work, but now that could work this session. You get a push up, a push back down, and then your buying level would be that that 34,930. That's the only reason that I would buy. Another reason, if you didn't really want to take that trade because you're just not sure about the direction, what I would do is I would play the Fibonacci game. All right, so 35,500 would be the target. And the way I've been looking at indices is, because the trend's been really aggressive. So here's what I want to point you guys' attention to. The more aggressive the trend, the more shallow the retest. So it's just a quick boop, continue. Okay, now it might make a double bottom. It might take some time to get there, but the more aggressive that momentum, the shorter the retests have been. So shallow retest, continuation. So same thing here is if we do see a massive push to the upside from here, then I think that we'll get a short-term retest, right? Either this extension level at 35,500, and then that could be another entry point if we create some support. Or if we're fortunate, we push up a bit, come back down, and if we hold support, only if we hold support, could you look for longs. Under any other circumstance, if the price is just starting to like break through, then you already know that that retest is retesting a sell level, right? If we see like a head and shoulders kind of deal, then you would be just mindful of the head and shoulders to the downside. So for now, bullish. The only reason that I would change my mind is if it breaks that support level and comes back in. He said, looking for shorts on BTC at 40K. Yeah, that's another move. Bitcoin is looking really, really, really good for shorts. So let me draw this out. So you guys see that we're still in this Wyckoff range, and we finally just finished the move. Like, how long ago did I send this markup? I sent the buy signal 27th of June, almost a month ago, after that break and retest. Then the market came all the way back down to these previous lows, created a new support, and then launched up to 41K. I think that we can see some sells because, like, look at that market movement right there. But I don't think that we're going to come back to 30, right? A lot of people are saying that price is going to go back to 27 or 21, and this is the time. Fundamentally, I don't see anything that supports that. So we're just going to have to see how it reacts in this range. I don't think we break this support, but also, you know, I don't have enough money to control the market. So whatever the market decides to do, we're going to have to be a witness to. Just know that from an investment standpoint, I will be loading up buys at 35. I will be loading up buys at 30. I'll be loading up buys at 27, and I'll be loading up buys at 21 and 17. So regardless of what the market does, as an investor, take some of the profits from Forex and ask yourself how you're going to be investing these things for the future so you can have the best advantage. So Bitcoin might do a dip right now. If you guys are traders, short it, but take those profits from those trades and put them right back in at the lows. And that would be the most legendary move that you can do. Okay. Reinvesting your Forex profits into investment profits so they can continue to grow for you. GU was too easy. I got stopped out, managed to re-enter the trade after it broke back in the range. I entered at that support level because I saw structural support right here. I tried to enter here. The market knew better, came down to this previous area of liquidity, came right back up on the smaller time frame. I was able to look for a shallow retest. Because keep in mind, guys, the markup that I had sent previously in the week was waiting for this retest. It was such a perfect trade. It was, hit off the trend line, perfect retest, 61.8, the whole structural thing, and it never came back down. So once I started to see these candlesticks form up, this is a pretty risky trade, but I found some structural levels on the left, drew it out, figured that we were forming support right here, and I took a pretty risky move up to this trend line. Okay. Now, the market's still pushing up. I think that the way that I've seen GU do this in the past is it'll just finish this move. It'll go slightly above this area, maybe even up to this structural high, and then we'll see a bit of a drop off. So I think for now, we're going to continue these trends, and then we're going to see a retest. Very doubtful that we're going to see like a big ass retest so that we can enter this market again. If we do get that, guys, load up, load up. Why load up? Because the market already showed its hand. Buyers have control. When the market dips down and starts to create support with a higher low, that doesn't mean that buyers lost control. That just means that they took profits. Buyers lose control when the market breaks the support. Then sellers are back in control. So like I said at the beginning of the stream, the most important question that you can ask yourself is, who has control over the market? Is it buyers or sellers? So major key. I'm seeing SPX 500 longs as well. Break and retest of the previous highs. It looks like that price has created a pin bar candlestick. Granted, it's still early in the day, but if we push above and we close above these highs, then we have a lot more upside. That's just the way that I see it. Now, bear with me, folks. I'm going to check Forex Factory real quick because there is some news dropping in the next few minutes that I want to be mindful of. So there's a part of me that really wants to buy this before the news drops because I feel like when we get this push, it's going to be right as the market gets its answer for the advanced GDP. So I'm considering entering a smaller position now and then the rest of the position after the news. All right, well, I'm going to do the responsible thing. Basically just going to wait for the news to drop and then enter this trade. So let's just go ahead and keep an eye on those results as they come out. GDP, one of the 4 most important metrics that we use to judge the health of an economy. The other ones are unemployment, is the interest rate. There's consumer index, which is are people spending in your country. Some countries, they provide more than they consume. And so those things they kind of look at manufacturing and production more so than consumers. But advanced GDP is one of the biggest metrics of economic health. And so we want to see, is the US growing or not? So the way that you guys can think about GDP, gross domestic product, is the size of an economy. And so we're about to see, is the US economy growing or is it shrinking? Shrinking is not a good sign. Growing, pretty good sign for us. If you live in the United States, at least. So Stefano says he is looking for shorts at the 78% fib level down to 1715, which is this structural area right here. I don't have my 50% fib, but that would be the 50%. Yeah, I see that. $24. You know what, Stefano? I'll enter this trade with you. I'm going to enter a small short position on gold.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the candle closure, 30-minute candle closure. So, but it looks like it's pushing. So I think I'm into.
Yeah, I'm gonna get in now because this is gonna be the lowest risk entry. The longer that we wait, I feel like the risk is just gonna get bigger and bigger. If it gets down to like 22, so I'm in right now with a small position. My stop loss is at 28.5, just above these highs.
All right. I got first TP 1815, 1812, possibly ultimate TP, and then maybe a reversal there. We will see what happens.
For sure. You're a little bit more hopeful than me. I think the trend is so aggressive. I think that I'm going to play it like fibs. So I'll do 71, 61, 50. And then 50 is like your 1815 zone. So that would be like final TP. Massive retest, support, continuation. But like I was saying earlier, the more aggressive the momentum of a trade, the more shallow the retest is going to be. So I don't think that we're going to get a full move to the downside. All right, so we'll let that sit for a little bit.
What was your first TP? I'm sorry. Or your target for, you think 1812, 1815?
21 is my first TP, then 1818, and then finally I would say the 1815 level.
Gotcha. All right.
Which is like these previous highs.
That'll be 21. 21's about 30 pips. Yeah, that sounds about right.
The first TP is a 1-to-1 risk. The second TP would probably be a little bit more. But my entry is at 24.4. So gonna let that play out. I put a quarter position on that. So not too concerned with that. My biggest priority is focusing on NAS because I think that this thing is about to pop. I think that we're gonna get a huge move to the upside.
News are dropping right now.
Yep. Ooh, came out horrible. Holy, this is not good news.
What does that mean, bro? Like,
Okay, so if I can put it in English, there's more people that are looking for jobs than ever. Not than ever, but than was expected. We were only expecting 380 unemployment claims, which is people who are consistently like new people who are asking the government for money because they can't find a job. So 400,000 people this month or this quarter. Is this quarterly or monthly? First Thursday of the week. Okay, so this is a weekly thing. There's 400,000 new people that are unemployed in this country. That's
crazy.
fucking horrible. The
Did you see my
forecast
story yesterday? I posted about this.
about the unemployment claims. Oh yeah, you were talking about how you can't. Yeah, this is what we were talking about yesterday, Justin, about the trucking.
It's crazy.
Yep.
That's insane.
So do we see a NAS push right now? Stefano, what do you think? Would you buy this right now?
I like the buys, honestly. I do.
All right, well, I'm going to take a risk here. So this is going to be like the first official trade on NAS. I'm going to put a quarter position at the closure of the candle. I gotta
As
wait
long
for
as you hold that support area, I think.
So there's about 30 minutes left in this hourly candle. Like obviously, I'd rather wait for this hourly candle to close. I'm just sort of looking at where the first position would be. So 60, 82 pips. TP1 is 15,140, which is about 118, if I'm not mistaken. You guys can fact check my math. TP2, my extension levels, 15,300. Well, let's call it 15,280. Now, the one thing that's like important to remember on NAS, and this is something that everyone should be doing with their pairs to just get more familiar, is understanding what time they move and what does it look like when the market first opens, right? So what's that market open look like? For NAS, usually before the market open, before the 9:30 a.m. market open, it usually just consolidates. And then right at 9:30, 9:25 to like 10 a.m., that entire market open 30 minutes, there is so much market movement. Right? We could see a push up, a push back down, or we could see a giant push down and a push back up. So at this point, since we're getting so close to the market open, that might be something that I'm waiting for, which is just waiting for that market to open, looking for that whipsaw, finding the structural areas that it's going to whipsaw to, and then just taking advantage of those. I got to clean this up a little bit. 88, get rid of that. Okay, that looks a lot better. Yeah, price is basically in a range between the 50 and the 60. So as long as we close above the 60%, I think that we have a lot of bullish upside. Another thing I could do is basically measure that first move. Draw this next one out. And if we had an equal size move, we would end up here just above the previous resistance area. So I just basically just did a measured move. It's one, boom, boom, same size move. Said Powell spoke yesterday, then the dollar tanked. Do you know what his major points were? Yeah. It's so how do I explain this in a short way? The biggest things that we're looking at right now are runaway inflation. And runaway inflation means that everything at the stores is getting more expensive. And the economists and the Fed and the Treasury and everybody is trying to pretend like things aren't getting more expensive. Things getting more expensive is very, very dangerous to the lower 50% of the economy, because the upper half of the economy is living in surplus. And so that even if things get more expensive, they have leftover money and they're making enough money that they can afford those price increases. People at the lower half of the spectrum, if the things at the store are getting more expensive, but they're not getting paid more, that's a huge problem. You're pushing people deeper into poverty, then you're making rich people richer just because of asset inflation. So for the past 4 or 5 months, underground economists, which are people who don't work for major institutions, are looking at the numbers and are saying, yo, we have serious inflation. Like, guys, the price of a haircut here in my city, the price of gas here in my city, the price of food at the stores, everything is getting more expensive. Delivery prices are getting more expensive, right? Carry out. There's new like fees and taxes they're adding on. Inflation is beyond real, and I can see it in my daily life. And so when these economists were saying all this stuff, the Fed was trying to ignore it because it's a very bad sign for the markets. Finally, Jerome Powell goes on yesterday and he says, you know what, guys, you're right. We do have runaway inflation and we don't know when it's going to end and when it's going to go back to normal. That is not good. That's not what you want to hear. So it depends. It's not good for the lower 50%, but it's very good for the people who own assets in the upper 50%. If you own a house, this inflation shit's going to make you richer, right? Your $100,000 house is going to be worth 175 because inflation is just going crazy. If you own stocks like the NASDAQ and stocks that are in the S&P 500 or stocks in the German 30 or stocks in the Dow Jones, whatever it is, those stocks are going to go up in value. And so if you own assets in this country over the next probably 5 to 12 years, you are going to become increasingly richer at a rate that you never imagined. But if you only hold cash, you're going to be screwed and left behind. And so that's kind of what Powell was saying yesterday, is kind of echoing the fact that, yeah, we got runaway inflation. We don't know when it's going to come back to normal. And let's just wait this thing out. So yeah, not good.
Sí.
And I'm liking these questions this morning. If you guys have any questions about fundamentals or things like that, this would probably be the best time to get those questions out. Because I mean, we will do a fundamentals call if you're a ChartAddicts member. But for now, if you guys are curious about any of those global macroeconomic dynamics, just feel free to ask right now. We can talk about interest rates. We can talk about the global trade war that's happening. We can talk about the stock market and inflation. We can talk about the infrastructure bill that's going to get passed. We can talk about employment demand, whatever you guys want to talk about. We could also talk about closing this gold trade if it keeps pushing up.
That thing is just got. I got my stops at 1829, 1830 around that area. So
okay, yeah, I'm at 28.5, so it's all good. The normal lot size I've been using on gold has been 2 standards, and for this I just put a 0.3. Because I do want to trade with the trend, and so the way I've been thinking is the biggest trades I'm doing are in the direction of the trend. If I ever do counter trend trade, I always use a smaller lot size.
Right.
been working really
1%.
well. Yeah, I'll do like 0.5% for these shorts, and I'll do a full 1% down here for the longs.
I like the loans right there. That's where I got my area of buying. I think it's gonna push. I think just gotta give it some time.
Like this is the last, you know.
Oh, I sent you my chart on the I think on the Discord group.
Oh, okay. Oh, you the messages.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There you go. That's what I got on this trade.
This is a 30-minute?
Just a 30-minute, yeah.
Beautiful. Wow.
Yeah, that's what I got. So pretty much about a 50 pip risk, but you know, like you said, 0.5% wouldn't hurt. So 50 pip risk, that would be a nice interesting area to actually take partials, and yeah, and the ultimate target will be that one support right there.
Hell yeah, bro. No, I like this a lot.
We'll see.
For sure. I like the way you drew that. It was so simple. Structural floor. Massive pin bar rejection. So let's see. As long as this candlestick stays below resistance, this thing is going to crash.
Yep. See that.
I'm going to keep the markup the way it is. It looks good. Looks good. Looks good like this. That risk and reward is 7-1.
We'll see. We'll see, bro. That's why I wanted to join this call. Like, see what's up, bro.
Yeah, I mean, it's looking hella aggressive on the higher time frame. If I'll be honest,
Yeah.
I don't expect it to turn around. But if there is a trade to take, it's going to be this one. It's a 1-7 risk and reward. The stop loss is like 30 pips max. And if you hit this, to take profits 105.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, that's the quality trade. All right, so we're getting some minor rejection. NAS pre-session. We'll just hang out and just kind of see how this plays out. Man, I want to play some music so bad, but YouTube took down our video last time because I had some like copyrighted music. I was listening to like Burna Boy and stuff. So I don't know if I can play music again.
It won't let you post it, or you it'll give you a restriction.
Gave me at first they took it down for a few days and they put it back up with a restriction. Yeah, we don't monetize our videos anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But
right.
I don't want to take it down, that's for sure.
All right, Goldie is going, man. Oh, just like I'm just waiting for, let's see, that 1 hour, which is close to 15 minutes. Wow. Still doing so. I like the wicks, you know, they always mean rejection. So
for sure, the wicks tell a story. But there's also times where momentum is more important than structure and candlesticks. And so let's see if this is one of those. Like sometimes the momentum is very aggressive. The candlesticks can form this way, and then it can fill those candlesticks to the upside. So we'll see. We're going to come back to some profits. Ooh.
Going.
This is good. Give me that one push.
Bro, I need one candle only. Give me that 130-minute candle long. You know, that's it.
You feel me?
Yeah, man.
For sure. I'm just really happy to see the dollar back at equilibrium. Like a bullish dollar scenario was just very bad for the markets because the markets just didn't know how to act for a little bit. Most of the market was short the dollar this year. And when I say the market, guys, I mean the largest institutions, the top 10 banks that basically trade the currency markets. They were all short the dollar earlier this year because of stimulus. And they were long equities, they were long commodities, they were long everything that wasn't the dollar. So that's called the inflation hedge trade. So the entire industry was looking at the inflation trade, and that got basically destroyed in this bull run right here. So a lot of hedge funds, a lot of institutions had to get out of their positions, and that kind of just cleared up a lot of noise in the market. Now that we're headed back to the downside, it's like, okay, the market's going to get healthier, and we could just trade structure and trade rhythm the way that we've been doing. A bearish dollar is great for the economy. It's great for markets. Everybody knows what to do. Everyone has a job, and the market just does it. So very happy to see a bearish dollar again. There we go. Some beautiful rejections here. Euro USD was such a perfect trade. Consolidation range. The target was the previous highs. Entry was structural lows. Structural low. Break retest. Continuation. It hit that TP to the pip. Broke through a little bit. And now we're going to see if we get a retest here. Okay, let's go.
All right, it's looking good now.
Guys, can we give a shout out to Stefano for this fire call?
Come on, let's go.
If you guys are at home watching at the stream at home, make sure you guys put something in the chat. Badass trader on IG.
Let's go.
Find him. ChartAddicts GOAT.
Thank you for my 2%, Stefano. I'm done for the day.
You got it, brother. You got it.
Let's go.
It's ChartAddicts, baby.
Fire. Holy shit. So we had an increase in the price of goods and services, but a decrease in the size of our economy. So our economy is getting smaller, but shit's getting more expensive. That is not a good combo. It's not a good combo at all. And there's a lot of unemployed people in the country. There's all types of bad problems. Tomorrow we have the core price index. This should really give us an idea of the inflation rate. But these have all just been BS the past couple of weeks or the past couple of months. So we don't really know if we can trust those numbers.
Yo, you ever heard of the saying, is the Wix for me?
Yo. Oh man. Wise man once said.
Oh, man.
What's crazy is I'm still in the buys from
You are?
from 94.
Man, that's a crazy entry right there.
Bro, I
Hold that to next year, bro. That's crazy.
let me send you the screenshot. I'm gonna text it to you.
All right.
Because then you can see I got the buy and the sell open.
Nice. I will hold that buy.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold it. That's why I already took partials, and I was like, bro, I'm just gonna leave this. I'm just gonna leave this running. So the way I see this is, as long as we close below this 1825, we're still good to go. And if we close below the second black line, this 23, then I think that we can actually make it to the bottom. So this 23 is the zone to break. And the way I found that was higher time frame. You look left. Support, body of the resistance. And so it's if the body closes below this, we actually have a pretty good amount of room to the downside. If we hold support here, then I think that we can range in this area before we continue. Oh, you know what I can do? I can play that podcast in case you guys haven't seen it. You guys let me know in the chat if anybody hasn't seen the Q Banks and James podcast. Said you got like a Discord group or something? Yeah, so if you guys are in the YouTube and you guys are asking these questions, if you have any questions, reach out to us on Discord. Or you guys can email us at info@chartaddicts.com. Let me put that in the chat box. info@chartaddicts.com. Oh, wait, sorry. Let me double check if it's ChartAddicts FX or if it's info@ChartAddicts. info@chartaddictsfx.com. So if you guys are on the live stream or watching at home and you guys are asking these questions in the YouTube stream, I'm not going to be able to answer them, but go ahead and contact us at info@chartaddictsfx.com. I guarantee that you will get a response back in a timely manner. So if you do have those questions, make sure to reach out. I want to preface this call by reminding you guys what I said about at the very beginning of this week. Right before the week started, I said something like, my outlook for the week: buy GJ, buy GU, and buy NAS 100. So that was kind of my outlook for this week. I was long on GJ, long GU, and I was long NAS. I got my ass kicked on NAS, but I'm about to make all that money back plus more on this one trade today. And what that trade is, I don't actually know yet, but I'm very confident I'm about to find out at the market open. Kwaku said, I haven't seen it. Watched it twice. Vanessa, come on now. Where'd you post that? The James podcast? It's on YouTube. To be honest, the Luke Longmire interview is my favorite. I listened to it over and over and over. Yo, let me tell. I'm gonna take a screenshot. Let me tell Luke real quick. He's gonna be hyped. I look up to Luke a lot. I don't really want to like. I've had a lot of mentors in my life in terms of trading, but Luke was one of the first people that I really sat one-on-one with and got some kind of direction from. And yeah, man, I don't care what anybody says. Luke is a legend. Just gonna throw that out there. So if you guys haven't seen that interview, I highly recommend it. So if you guys go to YouTube and you type in ChartAddicts and go to our YouTube channel, the Q Banks podcast is right here, the Q and James. So obviously doing numbers. It's a little bit less than an hour. If you guys want to go specifically to the podcast, just go to videos, or sorry, go to playlists. It says Expert Trader Series. You go to full playlist and you can see everything. Like the very first interviews that we ever did with Lasaldo, with Ken Ibizube, with Lambo Raul, Q Banks, Raja Banks, Wicks Don't Lie. Got a podcast with Ted, Uncle Ted. Another Ken podcast, Lambo Raul. The Trading Nut guy, the guy that interviews other traders, the Trading Nut, Cam Hawkins, interviewed him. One of my old-time mentors and good friends, Abel Melendez. Andy Peters. Andy has become one of my closest, I want to say, trading acquaintances. So I highly recommend that you guys check out the Andy Peters interview. Great talk. The Anthony's World interview, that one's a huge eye-opener for me, just because of the perspective. Obviously Luke Longmire, the GOAT. We have the Druzy Banks, from FIP. If you guys want to go watch that. And we have the QB Stu interview. So just about everybody's included in here. Got a few people I have on the list for this week. I'm trying to do a Lambo Raul and FX Alex G interview. So we were supposed to do that this morning. I think that, that might have been a little bit too early for them. So let's see if we can get that done today. He said Ken's is my number 2. The which Ken one, Vanessa, the first or the second one? The first one was crazy because Ken had just turned $980 to $100K in one day. And that to me is one of the craziest flips to this day that I've ever heard of. $980 to $100K. And then he lost the whole $100K and then made it back. So I can't even explain what that means. For me, I like the Uncle Ted interviews a lot because they're very eye-opening in terms of Ted will say something like the reason that you're not winning in trading is because you don't have the discipline. And the reason that you don't have the discipline is because you don't practice it in your daily life. And so the guy that can't get himself to the gym when he's supposed to, or the person that can't, clean their room when they're supposed to, or the person that can't do those small tasks are going to have a hard time walking away when they're on the charts. And so he says build those daily disciplines and then the rest will follow. So I'm a big fan of that.
Anthony's World interview is definitely an eye-opening for real. Bro, I took a lot from that interview, bro.
You enjoyed that one?
Yes, man. I love that one. That was motivational for real.
Fuck, dude. I can't even talk to Anthony anymore because every conversation we have is yeah, put 2,000 lots on EU. I'm like, bro.
Yeah, it's
2,000 lots.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
Do you guys understand what that means? That is 2 standards is $20 a pip.
Yeah.
Okay, 20 standards is $200 a pip. 200 standards is $2,000 a pip. And then 2,000 standards, that's close to $20,000 per pip. So,
Yo, but let me ask you, when you get to that level, like, what's the deal with the broker though? Like, because I know they put you in a different bracket.
even before you get to that level, there's some traders that use like I'm using an ECN broker, an electronically controlled brokerage, like
Right.
Hugo's, KOT, Traders Way, Traders Domain, and all those.
Right.
If you have a direct line into the market, which is you can contact MetaTrader, and then you can open your own API, which is basically like your own server that's not tied to everybody else's, and you can get better quotes, better spreads. And I'm not sure about the commissions on that, but I know that the spreads are a lot better. So you get entered exactly where you want to get entered. When you're at 2,000 lots, every pip counts. You can't be 3 or 4 pips spread in negative when you enter the trade.
Right.
So that's how those traders do it. And then Anthony has a pretty good relationship with MetaTrader. And so I'm sure that he has his own API and he's running it straight through his own brokerage. So that when you get to that level, that's the game.
I see. I'm building more confidence on this trade, I tell you.
You're feeling good about it?
I'm feeling good about it.
Yeah, fuck yeah. After I saw this pin bar, because we didn't flip bullish, I was like, okay, this is starting to look really good. The only thing is if this hourly candle closes above the black line, that's like the only red flag. But other than that, bro, I think that I think we're pretty good to go. We're coming up on the market open here soon. So preferably, I don't know about you and how you trade gold. Preferably, I want to be out of the market by market open, or at least want to have protected the trade.
Yeah, I've been thinking about maybe just break even, but you know those whipsaws, and then boom, the market goes straight away. So hopefully before the market opens, it makes that one candle.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yep. Exactly. But you guys are hearing a fire conversation. Like this is some serious sauce. Because what we're doing is we're basically playing against, we're playing with the market as opposed to trying to fight it. And so if the market gives us one candlestick at the market open, we're not going to sit here and be like, oh, the trade's going to keep going. The trade's going to keep going. We can be aware that the market does these gyrations and then just make a responsible decision. And that's really the mark of a trader. The mark of a trader is not someone that can catch 1,000 pip moves every time, because there aren't 1,000 pip moves every time. The good trader is the person that can take what the market gives them and make the most out of it every single day. Not let winners turn to losers, take money when the market makes it available, protect your capital. So if you can do those things, you're going to be successful at trading. There's the home run mentality is like very far from the truth. I'm back in profits.
Yep. So I am.
All right, I'm gonna play one of these podcasts in the background. Which one should I put on, guys? So can you play the James one? Yeah, for sure. The numbers are moving so fast. Like you're seeing 200, 300, 400. Like what's going on? I want you guys to really talk about this from a practical perspective. I want you to talk about your 200K day to day. I saw it happen. It was kind of crazy because it was really casual. You were just chilling in the same place. Numbers were running, whatever it is. I want you to talk about your mindset from the time that you entered the trade to the time that you actually decided to pull. Q, I don't know if you knew this. He's at 178K and he wants to go to 200. And I'm like, bro, are you sure you don't want to close half? Are you sure you don't want to close it? And he's like, I'm not closing until I see 200. You know what I'm saying?
Which is a terrible thing.
I'm not saying that that's advised, but at the end of the day, I think that I think that his conviction and that level of I'm not gonna get shaken was huge. So James, you want to walk us through it, and then Q, I want you guys to kind of just go back and forth about this.
Yeah, so I've been eyeing it for a while. Like, NASDAQ hit 15,000, like it was a super liquid level, and just was catching the retracement. But I actually got stopped out, like in a light position before it actually ran. But just the structure never broke. Like I was.
Yeah. On that story, James took a trade. He tried to take the shorts probably at 2 or 3 a.m. open of London session, and he lost like 40 or 50K. Didn't say a single word. Okay, to look for the re-entry, entered at a higher price. So for example, like let's say that he might have sold right here, and then this candle came up, and so he got stopped out, and so he re-entered a bunch of positions up here, and then as it started to run, he made back all the money on the loss and more. So just sort of like re-entering the trade. So it's not like it's perfection every time. It's the fact that he's willing to take the risk and he's willing to trust his analysis to the point where if the first entry doesn't work, he'll try it again. All right. And as long as your risk and reward is good, like if you lose 50 and you're making 200, you're going to be fine. If he's risking 200 to make 200, now you're in break even. So risk and reward is a huge, huge deal in this game.
Saying to you, like, hey, you should close. But I'm like, look, that's something I'm really improving on. Cause like, when you trade big leverage, like you're always going to leave money on the table and you're not going to maintain things properly. And it's going to really like test your mindset and your willpower. But the market never really gave me a reason to close at that time. So I was like, if the market is, just going to continue making lows, then I'm just going to hold it. And even still, like I left another, 150, 200 after FOMC. But like, obviously at a certain point, like, enough is enough, and especially with the news, like I don't really like to participate in the news because it's more gambling at that point. Just the liquidity, the execution is bad. So I don't like to fuck with the news.
Q, you said that you kind of had a reaction when I said that he wanted to hold the 200K, but maybe it wasn't the best idea. How do you feel about holding versus closing, and how do you think about that?
Me knowing James, like, I get it 100% because you want to hit that certain milestone. So like, why am I going to stop until I hit that certain milestone? I'm not going to like lower my expectation of something because, of someone else and everything. So like, even if someone else is on edge because they like, yo man, like, I don't know, bro. But at the same time, you're so confident in what you, in like your analysis and that kind of stuff, like you're not going to close, So, that part alone, like I get that part 100%, honestly, like just being confident in like what you understand, like, and like what you see and not taking no for an answer, So I get it.
So from my perspective, I'm thinking, there's two ways this can go. You have two thoughts. What if the market retraces and I lose all this money? Or what if it goes to the next target? How do you keep yourself in line with thinking about what could happen in a positive way, as opposed to thinking like, oh, what if this retraces on me?
So, I've got fucked many times, like when it comes to that, like right there, honestly, like, let's say if I'm up what? Let's say I'm up 300,000, like, and this was like the other day. I woke up, it's back at 200 and something thousand, ended up closing at 200,000. Like James said, like you're always gonna leave make money on the table, like when it comes to big leveraging, But I always have to like take a step back and think like, God damn, like, did I just make a person's salary that went to college for like 8-10 years in like, in a short amount of time? So it's kind of like you got to think on like that perspective, like, yo, like I did shit that people don't do every single day. So like, why am I even tripping? Like, even if I closed out 50K short of like my milestone, like, that's still great money. That's still money that could change my life. I could buy this, I could buy that, I could buy a house. You could still have a super level up with any amount over 6 figures. Like over, like it could be 150, it could be 200, it could be 300. Like even if you missed out on an extra 100,000 or extra 200,000, like you still did a great thing in a short amount of time compared to a lot of people inside the world. So like you got to think on like the majority of the population, like what are they doing, you know, to like make yourself a bit more humble, like when it comes to that kind of stuff, because I mean, we do this shit, you know, but at the same time, like it's something that you got to kind of just always keep like a level headed with, because you kind of get a little bit, you know, like lost in the fact that you just made fucking 6 figures in a short amount of time, you know?
Right.
So yeah, man, it's like something that it's like a consistent learning curve, because you can never ever get used to the fact that you just made 6 figures and it's not enough, you know?
Right. Yeah, it almost it doesn't even feel real, you know, there's sometimes you don't even like, for me, I put the perspective of just how many hours like it would take somebody to do that, you know, even at a good ass job, like it would take a long time, let alone like, you know, some type of minimum wage or something. It takes someone years and years of their life. So like, I'm just grateful, like, you know, to even have access to something like that, you know.
James, can you talk about the emotion that you felt when you finally hit close? Because you were in a little bit of contention. You wanted to hold and you wanted to close. When you finally hit the rapid close on all the trades, what was that feeling that came right after? Can you kind of describe that?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to put into words sometimes because it doesn't really hit you until like, I feel like it doesn't hit you until you start spending the money and you actually like realize what you can do with it. Like for right now, even still, like it's, you know, it's in my account. Like I have to withdraw it. Like I haven't even realized I haven't even touched it yet. So it's more so like what you do with it and like the freedom it brings and the things like that. But I mean, if it was my first time, I was elated. Like the first time I did 6 figures, you know, like I was super, super elated. But I mean, I'm still so happy, obviously, but I feel like it hasn't really hit yet, you know, still. And I haven't slept. I'm tired of shit. So
still at break even. Still. Who are the first people that you called after you had that 200K day, and what was the series of the conversations like?
I mean, the first person I always call is my mom. You know, I usually wait if it's 6 a.m. I just wake her up, like FaceTime her, like wake her up out of bed, and I was like, hey, like I was funny. I said, guess what? And she's like, oh, you made like $1 million bajillion or something like that, and I was like, yeah, that's what happened. So you know, I mean, she's super proud of me and everything, like, and I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like even my own parents didn't believe me. Like, you know, when I was eating shit with trading for like a long time, and you know, like that's the most important thing is that you believe in yourself above what anybody, literally even the closest people in your life, you know, might doubt you. And like my parents used to come in my room and like I didn't go to college. Like, you know, I lied to my parents for 2 years saying I was going to school. I never went to school because I just knew that shit was not for me. And I just was, you know, I was trading. And they would come in my room every day and say, get a job, you're a bum, this, that, and the other thing. Like, and that's very discouraging, you know? So, but if you really believe in yourself, like, as cliche as that shit is, like, it's, you know, you got to work hard and make it happen.
James, I know it's really hard to have a lot of people doubt you and a lot of people not believe in you. What do you feel like kept you going during those times that made you see something that was beyond your physical reality? You kind of had the potential in your mind. What do you think kind of drove you?
I would definitely say just, you know, just being in the space, you know, I mean, having somebody that I knew and, you know, could talk to on the phone that is doing the things that I want to do, you know, like it's that simple. Like even if nobody's doing it, like, you know, these people do shit that's unprecedented all the time. So fuck it, like anything's possible.
James, is this your first 200K day?
Yeah.
Okay. Q, can you describe your first 200K day? And I kind of want to like, you know, look at the similarities. What did you feel when you had your first 200K day and how was that?
My first 200K day was, what was it? 176. I came close to 200. Well, first was 100 and 176. Then I had a 400 something thousand dollar day actually. Does that count?
James, does it count?
Yeah, it fucking counts.
Yeah. So I did then what trade was it on? So like I did. What was it? It says record.
That was on US 30, right?
What's it? Let's see. Hold on. And this was like my right. Yeah, it was on US 30, like this thing, like right here. 400-some thousand. That's the setup that I made my Vans shoes from, actually. It was surreal, bro. That was like one thing that was surreal, honestly, because like I think it was so surreal that like James says, like whenever it's in your account, like it's just numbers, you know. So like you can't really feel the difference of like what is actually being done until you actually withdraw, you know. But I was definitely ecstatic, bro. Like I popped some champagne bottles, like I was celebrating that cleanse over, like, you know, like my mom had seen. So like whenever she sees that kind of stuff, like she's always excited for me, because at the same time, like, you know, that makes her more comfortable knowing that I can also help out the family in many ways also. You know what I'm saying? So like if I win, my whole family wins. You know, so like that's what it came down to. But also like I think after that, I had bought my Ferrari Pista immediately. I bought it with that money right there, and just, you know, just call it a day, bro. Because like that alone just like made me just like start knocking off things on my checklist and everything with like my milestones that I've reached, honestly. So that right there was definitely like a mind-blowing moment, knowing that I did that like in under a day. You know, it's like one of those things that you just can't even believe, because the numbers are moving so fast. Like you're seeing 200, 300, 400, like what the fuck is going on? What else is going on? And then all of a sudden, like James said, like I'm texting James, I'm like, yo, James, what did I say? Like, what's the true skill?
Is how fast you can close the order.
How fast you can just press X, and close out everything as soon as possible, because the numbers move very, very fast, bro. So I mean, like once I did that, it's like once you press the X button and everything's closed out, you just sit back like, fuck. Like what was that about, you know?
Q, it's a very special moment because you're in a perfect position to have already gone through that. What advice would you give to James about having those kinds of days, and then what comes after that, and some responsible things or some irresponsible things that you've learned in your journey? What advice could you give to somebody who's coming up?
I mean, I've seen James do like great numbers, but also like mess up on certain things while he's doing those certain numbers. Like that $800 and some account that you did was up so and so. He fucked up, and I still tell people this thing till this day. Like if I'm explaining James's trade, I'll say like, all right, James did good on all those trades, but he did something wrong. And what was that, James? Like, if you remember, like, what did you do?
I entered my biggest positions at the bottom.
Exactly. And I like, he put a 20 lot at the lowest point inside the market, and that killed.
That fucked me over.
Yeah. And I'm glad that you remember that fuck up, because
for sure.
it was such a smooth trade. And I'm like, and then once he did that, I'm like, fuck, okay, it's a wrap. Because it's like those small things, I feel like he's actually grown on over the years. So it's definitely great to see that, you know, he's actually making those big days, but also keeping those big days also. You know what I'm saying? So like, I feel like those were definitely some learning lessons that he had to actually just learn with experience in his time, and is being more disciplined with how he's going about his trades and how he's leveraging his account. Because everything else that he's doing is good. It's just how he actually is moving when he's in the midst of all those trades and the numbers moving. But seeing how he actually closed out 200K, that says a lot already. You know, that says that he's a lot more disciplined. He's a lot more satisfied with certain numbers being shown on the screen versus trying to actually get to $1 million, you know, because, you know, 200K is $200,000 regardless of the fact, you know, and that's still money that can really pump up your bank account a lot.
For sure. All right. So James, do you want to talk about, you've had big days before and you've had large withdrawals before. Does this stand out to you, or is the first one the most special?
Yeah, I would honestly say, yeah, probably. I mean, just that having that first taste of it, you know, after years of just, you know, like of just fucking up, you know, like doing well and then just making mistake after mistake after mistake. So, I mean, it still feels great. Like obviously, it's incredible, but yeah, I mean, I'm financially stable, and like I can enjoy myself. I can do whatever I want on the day to day. So like that's what matters most to me. Like I don't care. Like once you get beyond, like everyone thinks, oh, you know, you want a millionaire, this, that, but like, yo, once you can enjoy your day, and you know, we can really tell you what to do, and you know, you have complete freedom of your time. Like that's the most important thing to me.
Yo, can I touch on that? Can I touch on that, please?
So, Q, do you agree?
We spoke about this yesterday because I was talking to someone, all right? And then she's like, yo, Q, and this was a real conversation. She said, yo, Q, so like, what do you like to do nowadays? I'm like, damn, That's a hard question, honestly. Like, at times I like to travel. At times I like to do like some activities. At times I like to just, have some new business ventures. Like, personally, I feel like what I like to do is just to be free. To be free as to do like whatever I want to do, whenever I want to do it, not having anything time based. I just live. Like, I like to live, and living meaning doing whatever I want to do within that time span of when I want to do it. So that is like what that meant to me, honestly. Like, it's not about just like doing like one thing, like, like I like to just go bike riding. Nah, like, if I want to get up like right now and go buy a bike.
All right, guys. So pre-market open, we got about 8 minutes until the market opens. Gold starting to close back above that resistance level. So that's not really looking too good, but I'm going to stay in the trade because the reason we entered is because of that resistance and then these wicks at that level. And so as long as price stays below 27, I'm going to stay in this trade. If price starts to break above 27 at the market open, I'm just going to get out of my trade. So just wanted to give you guys a heads up on what was happening with these candles. Still patient, still got about 8 minutes till the market opens. Just as a reminder on NAS, 2 scenarios I'm watching. One is a retest and continuation. The other one is just a simple break above, retest, and continuation. Either way, I'm bullish on this, just because that's the way that the trend has been. That's the way the trend's been moving on the higher time frames. I do realize that we're at all-time highs. This thing could make like a pull to the downside, kind of like how. Let me see if there's an example here. You guys see how there was like a huge drop here, and then it retested, and then made another drop. So that could be one of those where this is the second piece of this bearish move. But I'm that bullish on NASDAQ. Like I'm that bullish where I think that we're going to continue the trend. So just wanted to give you guys a quick rundown of what's going to happen. The market is about to open in about 7 minutes. Things will start moving. If I get out of gold or if I get into another trade, trust me, I'll let you guys know. So just keep an eye out for that.
Bike ride, then I'm gonna do that. Because it's just the freedom of doing literally anything that you want to do at any time because you want to do it. Like, that's what I feel like financial freedom is for me nowadays, honestly, just having no limit, and that's the real shit. Having no limit, doing whatever.
So Q, what do you feel like stops a lot of people from hitting the point that you, James, have hit, where you can kind of take your personal limitations off and you can really zone into the market and you can really take larger risks? Is it being able to accept risk? Is it the technicals? What would you say it is?
I feel like it's the individual, honestly. Like, it's just them actually, trying to live based on others' expectations in this field versus, creating your own expectation within this entire field, just like that, like for the expectation of other people, like, oh, they have to have this win percentage, they have to have this, they have to have this, they have to have this. If this is not being done, then it's not. No, not at all. So it's like, just going about it like however you want to go about it, but based on what you use it for. Like, me and James, I feel like, we use accounts for, it could be like a nice big ass flip. It could be a nice big move that we want to trade for this entire week or stuff like that, versus feeling like, oh, only make 3% a day, only risk 1%, like that dumb shit. Like I said on a recent webinar, like, if a person is only risking 2%, you're not going to be making the kind of money that you want to make. You're not going to be able to travel like how you want to travel. You're not going to have the financial freedom like how you want to have. You're not going to have the kind of cars that you want to have. You're not going to have the kind of house that you want to have if you're only risking 2% or 5%. Like, that's just me personally.
If you want to answer the same question, what do you think makes you special?
Yeah, nothing in particular, bro. Like I said, like, anybody can, anyone's capable to do anything. But I think, I think it's a combination of a lot of things. It's just having an eagerness to learn and better yourself and not make the same mistakes twice and things like that. But, and also just, for me, risk tolerance, bro. Like, I'm not scared to fucking slap my balls on the fucking table, bro. Like, if I fucking lose them, I lose them, bro. Like, whatever. I've lost them before. I've been, bro. last year, dog, I had a couple $1,000 in the beginning of the year, bro. I fucked up real bad, and I had a couple grand to my name, bro. And I did some crazy shit, bro.
Talk about your story.
Well, yeah, I mean, last year, in the beginning of the year, bro, I had like most of my money in a trading account, and I was shorting US 30 like right around late February, before that big crash happened, and I had like 50K in the account, and I got stopped out. And I knew it was gonna drop like right at 9:30. I just went full margin on my account, and I fucking went 200 points straight in profit, and I was floating like $80,000, which was like the biggest trade I had to my career at that time. And I got greedy, and I decided to try and swing it, and it ended up hitting my break even. So I watched all that money slip through my fingers, and I was pretty devastated, like, because in my head I had six figures. I was like, yo, you had six figures, like this was it, and even though I never had it. And I kind of went full tilt after that. I was chasing these astronomical trades, but like it wasn't even like I was taking smart risks. I was just taking risks that weren't like that didn't even align with my strategy or anything like that. So I ended up losing like all my money, bro, like almost in one night on gold, where I just had like a really terrible night, bro, and I just no discipline, nothing. And I had a few grand left, and I almost thought about quitting trading, bro, because I was just like, dude, like you really just fucked up so bad, like. And this was when the pandemic happened, and everything was just so uncertain and everything like that. So, I ended up moving away from my house. Like I lived in Pennsylvania for a little bit, and eventually I got the confidence back to get on the charts, bro. And I had like $4,000, bro. Put it all in an account. I doubled it again. I had like, whatever. I had like 10, 12,000, and then I got money from unemployment. And yeah, I got like 15K from unemployment. I used that. I ended up I took it all out and I bought a car, bro. I spent all my money on this Porsche from my buddy. That was a good price. Like it was like 30 grand I spent on the car. But I barely had fucking gas money to put in it. But I ended up, the car got totaled, bro, like in September of, someone rear-ended me. I was on the highway. This guy tried to race me in this Infinity, bro. It was raining, and like, I didn't even, bro, this guy crashed his car in front of me. He went flying through the air, like 10 feet in the air. It was the most like unreal thing I've ever seen in my life. I didn't crash with his car, but I pulled over in the shoulder to call 911. I thought this guy was like dead. And there's some lady crashed into the rear of me, bro, like, like fast, totaled my car. And I ended up getting paid from the insurance company, like 43,000. So like I ended up making like 15 on the car, and I took that money, like, hit my account. I was like, yo, this is it. My back's against the wall. Like, this is my opportunity. And that's when I did in November, when I did the 30K to like 200,000. And that's what kind of like popped me off, like I got a lot of exposure, Q shouted me out and everything like that. And like my confidence was like on a new level at that point. I was like, yo, like, because at that point, like I had nothing, bro. And like, so to me, it doesn't matter. I can go back to having nothing because I could do this shit again. It doesn't matter, So like, that was just like the best thing that happened to me. And then from there, bro, shit just changed real fast, bro. Like not even a year ago, bro, I was in that position. Less than a year ago, 8-9 months.
Yeah, shit changes quick.
Yeah. All we got to do is just not go back. What I think about I was being conservative with the risk. Actually, the first trade I took was like, I risked like 10%. I mean, that's aggressive, but like, 10% for me on 30K is like, that's, whatever, it's 3,000. Like that's reasonable for me. So I ended up, the first trade I took was like a 1 to 10.
All right, folks, market is open. We are getting some movement. Let's see what these moves do.
US 30 is flying.
Bullish?
Yeah, US 30.
Gold looks like, NAS looks like it wants to go long. I'm going to wait for a clear break. If we get a clear break, we look for a retest. If that retest closes above that 1520, then we can take it north. Second option is fat retest, and we can buy low. Yeah, gold is pushing like crazy.
Yeah, It did close below that area, but I'm not a break even, so I'm still in it.
Yeah, I'm still in.
Let's see.
I'm going to put that to the side for now. Let's go take a look at what NAS is doing. All right, so I'm going to get on the smaller time frames because if these candlesticks do push and break above, then I think that any retest that happens is going to happen on the smaller time frame. I don't think that we'll be able to see it on the higher time frame. I think this thing is just going to push. So I'm going to be on the smaller time frames looking for some sort of retest as long as we close above here. The market open is a bit of a patience game. Just want to kind of narrate what I'm looking at right now. At the market open, anything can happen. So this thing could create a giant wick and then could come back down. So it's really important if you guys are trading these high volatility pairs to have the patience to wait for candlestick closures. Because if the candlesticks don't close, then it could still create some sort of wick and then come down. It can still do some sort of wick and then come down. So you want to make sure that there's a clear closure above that zone. Once you know for a fact that the candles are closing above that zone, then we look for a retest of that area, and then we can just trade the rest of the trend. If we even get a retest. Sheesh. I guess that pre-market entry would have been it, but we need that retest at 1520.
Jesus.
Yeah, gold just pushed back above that zone.
Let me see. NAS flying.
It's all part of the game. can't enter at resistance for a buy. So this is still the smarter move. All we need is some kind of retracement so that we can get low and continue that trade. Hopefully at this like double top area right here, we can see a minor retest. And if we see that, then we can take the market long. So this is some smaller time frame stuff, but previous highs are right here. We're breaking above the previous highs. If we create support at this level, that's another entry zone for us. God. I'm closing half my gold position. Gold is pushing up pretty heavy. I'm going to leave half open in case this thing wants to wick. It's just going to wick down. In which case I'll make back the money that I lost on closing half the position, and I'll be able to walk away with profits. On NAS, Jesus. I'm still hopeful about a retest. So I'm going to keep my eye out for it. But this aggressive movement is kind of nuts.
Yes, those two candles are gonna correct. Yeah, almost a resistance.
Which one, for gold or for NAS?
No, for NAS. Gold, I still don't see anything that makes me I want to see the closure. I'm on the 15-minute chart right now, so I don't see. I mean, it's pushing pretty strong, but
it's still below that resistance.
Yeah.
Still rejecting. So that's why I didn't close the whole thing. I still want to leave some options open, but that momentum kind of opened aggressive. For those asking about US 30, US 30 did indeed hold that support. Your next target would be 35,500. Just as a heads up, if this thing keeps continuing up. And yeah, I guess that was the entry right here off the 50. Unfortunate. But that's the thing about trading, guys. If you have a strategy and you have a plan, if the market doesn't give you what you want, that doesn't mean just like, okay, I'm just going to settle for the next best thing. Like, I'm just going to enter the breakout and hope it keeps going. The reason that I have a strategy is because I know that waiting for the retests is best for my account over time. And that's why, like, even though I'm going to miss this move, I'm perfectly fine with that, because at least I didn't break my rules just trying to jump into a random trade. But that also doesn't mean I'm just going to let this thing go, because I want this trade. So whenever it does hit some kind of resistance, we'll see if we can get a pullback. If we can get a pullback, then we can enter low and continue this market momentum. And just to show you how little the actual news has to do with the price action, it has to do with volume. It has to do with people getting excited and more money entering the markets in different ways. But tell me how a weaker economy, a higher unemployment, and more prices are causing the stock market to go up. You know, so they're good for understanding red flags. They're good for understanding some areas to watch out for. But overall, in terms of finding a trade, they don't really play too big of a role. Come on, baby. Give me something.
Yeah, I close half of my goal positions as well. So
Yeah, it's not looking too hot right now. The bullish engulfing candlestick engulfed the previous 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 candles. Yeah, that's about as bullish as you can get. Got about 2.5 minutes till that candle closes. We'll come back at the closure. Damn. SPX 500 break and retest. I like that a lot. I'd move my stop loss below these structural lows if I were you. Because the market could do one of these, hit a previous buy area and then continue. So stop loss would just have to be below these lows. Just a heads up. Oh, good stuff. Okay, so that was before. All right, makes sense. Yeah, you see how close that was? Because the market loves to do break, retest before it continues. So you always want to make sure that you're putting it below structural low so you have more room. But that was a hell of an entry. Good stuff. I like that a lot. All right, y'all. We've been on this stream for a hot minute now. I think that, you know, just to kind of give you guys an insight, I never spend this much time on the charts. I'll usually just get on for 5 or 10 minutes before the market opens, drop my charts, get on here during the market open, see if I can take some trades. And then I'm usually off by like 11 a.m. And I don't spend the entire time on the charts. So I'm going to be doing the same thing right now. I think we spent more than enough time looking at charts. You guys have the levels that you got to be looking for NAS and for gold. All right, gold might push through, so we'll see. I'm still in that trade for the half position. NAS, I am looking for a retest to continue this bullish momentum. All right, this thing is about to continue. These higher low, higher low, higher low, higher high, higher high, higher high. I think most likely we're about to go make higher highs. NASDAQ target 1 is 15,240. NASDAQ target 2 is 15,300. Okay. If you have any questions, if you're a ChartAddicts member, just reach out to me if you have any questions about these trades. Everybody else happy and safe trading today. It's great to see all of you guys on the stream. If you guys didn't make any money today, at least you walked away learning something. And if you did make money today, make sure to tag us on Instagram and we will repost everybody that tags us. So I'm going to give you guys 2 or 3 minutes. If you guys can pull out your phones, tag at ChartAddicts on Instagram. If you put that on your story, we'll repost everybody. And yeah, hope to see you guys on the next stream. ChartAddicts members, keep an eye out for the signal. If this thing makes a sharp retest, I'll be calling the buy limit or I'll be calling the buy signal, and we can take the rest of this trade. Jack M on the YouTube streams. I love the channel. On fundamentals, are you self-taught or did you work in finance and study finance, etc.? I studied finance. I worked at an investment bank for several years. But a lot of the stuff that I learned regarding Forex was more so just watching price move when some shit would happen in the real world. Like they print money and then the prices would move. Then I would be like, oh, okay. So when they print money, NASDAQ goes up. So that's kind of how I started to piece together the fundamentals. All right, everybody, take it easy. ChartAddicts members, happy and safe trading. Stick to your plans. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys on the market recap tonight.